to say that maybe Ayat or Yasser can be a moderator. Moderator means that when I'm presenting, if there are questions, you can put it on the chat, and hopefully at the end of the presentation, I can address those questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat so that either Yasser or Ayat can review that, and as we finish the presentation, hopefully I will be able to respond to your questions. Is that okay, Yasser or Ayat? Is that all right?
Yes, okay, no problem.
Okay, so I will share my screen, and hopefully you can see the presentation. Okay, let me go into a full screen mode. So everybody can see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, somebody can respond. Just say that, hey, I can see that, that's all. Okay, so good evening once again. Thank you very much for joining this session. The presentation I have titled is Closing the Performance Gap, an introduction to value management, value methodology, or value engineering. It's the same thing. Closing the performance gap, the title I chose because it's not about your performance, it's about the product performance. The product, the building, whether it's a building, pipeline, whatever you're kind of managing, it can get the best performance. So for the asset itself. With that, I'm going to move to, I don't know where it's, okay. So what I'm going to present is a little bit about the concept of value, how it started, its background, basically the history, some of the benefits, timing, that means when to use it. I will also share a case study. Then I'm going to share my experience, that why this methodology works. And then at the end, I'm going to talk about the certification process a little bit. Is that, this is a, most of you are engineers. You already have a bachelor's degree. Maybe some of you have already completed a master's degree. But the idea is that this is an improvement science. There are 32 improvement science in the world. Something like Lean, Six Sigma, program management, Scrum, Agile, many things. Out of that 32, I find, of course, I haven't really researched everything in detail, but I like it because I think it brings a very tangible improvement to your project, program, whatever if you're in the manufacturing, some of you might be industrial engineers. If you're in the manufacturing environment, it can help you significantly. It's at the end of the day, when I complete this presentation, you will see that it is a thinking process. It's a way how you look at a product or a project. Okay. And the certification process I will share with you at the very end, so don't worry about it. Let me move to the next slide. So a little bit where I am now. I am in Canada. I told you, I think maybe you have heard or learned. So this is where I'm located. I'm located in the western part of Canada, in a city called Calgary. We have a population of about 1.5 million. I think Amman has a population of 4 million. So here the population is quite small and compared to Amman. And, but it is the fourth largest city in Canada. So some of you may know, of course, there is the Toronto, there is Montreal. These are the two biggest cities. Then you have Vancouver, number 3, and number 4 is Calgary. A little bit of view of the city where we are. I'm just trying to warm you up. I'm not talking about Calgary today. but this is the downtown. We have a river here. It's called Go River, and this is the city's downtown. And this is kind of the overall view of the downtown. A little bit about myself. I was an architect. I graduated with a Bachelor of Architecture. I practiced architecture for 8 years. Then I came to Canada about 21 years ago. I studied masters. I did a master's in city planning or urban planning. And then for the last 12 years, I'm a value specialist. This is my really everyday job. I work for the city of Calgary. I also have a consulting firm, and that's pretty much it. I've been a director of Value Analysis Canada, which is the National Professional Society for Value Engineering, Value Management. I'm also a trainer in value management, and my main job is really to conduct and lead value management or value engineering studies. So this is the part I think would be of interest to you, is that most of you there are different terminologies: value assurance, value management, value engineering, value analysis. At the end of the day, they all follow value methodology. It's a method. Where you apply it, depending on that, you can see that, you do a value analysis at the portfolio, program, option analysis, feasibility, concept development. That's when you call it value analysis. When you're into the design phase, where you're at 15% schematic design or 30% detailed design and whatnot, even constructability, it's called value engineering. Where I work in the city of Calgary, because we apply value methodology, both in the early planning phases of a program or a project, also in detailed design, we call it value management, because value management covers both planning and design. Yes, somebody raised a hand. Is there a question? Okay. So 3 takeaways. Yasser, has anybody? There is Mohammed.
No, there is no question. He left here. Okay.
Okay.
You can continue, no problem.
Okay, thank you. So there are 3 takeaways from this session. If you do not remember anything about this presentation, hopefully you will remember something, but if you don't remember anything, please remember these 3 words. Value methodology is about function. It is about innovation, okay? It is an excellent tool for coming up with new ideas. And it's a decision-making tool for management. So if you're working in the government, or you're working in the private sector industry, or for some developer, builder, contractor, doesn't matter. It is an assurance for the owners of a project or a program, doesn't matter. It helps them in making a decision about that project. So again, function. What does it do? Function is what does it? It's not functional, okay? This is one thing in English I want to clarify. I don't know the Arabic term for it, but I'm just saying there is a difference between function and functional. Functional is when you say functional design, that means it's a design that functions, okay? But when you use the word function, especially in value management or value engineering, it means what something does. What does it do? And I have some examples later. So innovation is a big thing. Some of you probably use iPhone. Some of you probably use Samsung Galaxy. These companies heavily use value management or value engineering, if you call it, for innovating new products. Okay, they're coming up with new features, new products. Samsung is a big user in South Korea. And finally, in the government sector or even for private sector, decision-making is a big part. So value management or value engineering is designed to answer 6 questions, okay? It is about what is it? What does it, so what does it mean? What's the problem? What is the problem we are trying to solve? What does it do? What must it do? That's where function analysis is very useful. What does it cost? Okay, well, there is a baseline cost. And what else would do that job? So that means you are trying to figure out this is the innovative part, this is the creative part, where you're trying to figure out, if you understand the function, what something must do, then it is easy for you to come up with an alternative idea. And then finally, what does that cost? Again, in the world of project, I will share some difference between the project management world versus value management. I'm sure a lot of, in the Middle East, there is a big interest in project management for PMP designation. It's about delivery. Value management is about definition. So value management is defining what you want to deliver, and then through the project management processes, it becomes much easier for you to deliver that project. So the earliest concept of value came from this gentleman. I mean, from my research, there might be others, but in about 1731, so it's nearly, you can say, nearly 300 years ago, Daniel Bernoulli, a Swiss mathematician in the Imperial Academy of Sciences in St. Petersburg, Russia, first said that the determination of the value of an item must not be based on its price, but rather on the utility it yields. So this utility is the function that I referred earlier. Now, I want to ask Ayat or Yasser, am I speaking too fast or slow? Or can you hear me clearly once again? Just say yes or no.
Yes, we can hear you, but if you can increase your voice a little bit.
Oh, I can increase my voice? Okay. A little louder.
And if you can speak slowly, also it would be good.
Okay, slowly. Okay. So as I said, the determination, Daniel Bernoulli, a Swiss mathematician, mentioned about this definition, that the determination of the value of an item must not be based on its price, but rather on the utility it yields. Okay. We move forward about 250 years, and in General Electric, this is in 1942. In General Electric, the concept of value is, the value is a ratio of function over resources. And resources means not just money, but it's also human resource. It's about risk, schedule, manpower and everything. And function is defined that it is an action or an intended action that must be performed by a program, project, product, process, or service to meet the business need or the stakeholder's need. And it is typically expressed in a verb-noun format, okay? It's expressed in a verb-noun format, and we will share some examples a little later. So the definition of value management or value engineering is, it's a structured methodology for innovation, engaging a multidisciplinary team to analyze the essential functions of a program, product, project, system, doesn't matter. And it's typically performed in a workshop format. It's done in a workshop. And if you stretch the definition of value, which is, again, you can see here, it's function over resources, but you can stretch it to performance over cost, which is about projects. You can extend it to program level, where you're trying to offer benefits over expenditure. And finally, at a portfolio level of a company or in the government or for an organization, it is about outcome over investment. So what is the outcome you want from doing a program or a project? And what is your total investment? Which means that not just the initial capital cost, but also the life cycle or O&M cost, which is operations and maintenance. So in the little bit about history, I said about background. In 1942, in the US, General Electric organization during the World War II was, manufacturing a lot of engines for the fighter planes. And so in that time, because of the war, there was a huge shortage of materials. And so this gentleman by the name of Lawrence Miles, he came up with the concept that, let me understand what that material does. So what does it do? What is the function? And let's see if I can come up with an alternative way of achieving that function. So this is the basic thinking. I mean, if you do not do function analysis, then you haven't really done a value engineering or a value management study. It is absolutely essential. Otherwise, what you're doing is a cost-cutting exercise or a cost reduction exercise. So in 1942, Lawrence Miles spent about $1 million and over a 5-year period. And he found that in 1947, in that 5-year period, he found that it actually achieved improved performance of products, on-time delivery, and he actually saved the corporation $200 million. So by spending $1 million, he was able to save about $200 million for General Electric. It was so successful that in 1947, General Electric as a company adopted value analysis. That's what he called. So value engineering was a term that came much later. It was originally called value analysis. So in 1947, General Electric adopted value analysis as a standard business practice. So it's in their organization and it's still there. So why is it critical today? Why as an engineer, you should be aware of it or you should learn about it? Because a couple of things is that you have a basic engineering degree. You are applying it as a designer or in the production industry or wherever you work. Or maybe you are a new graduate and you're trying to, find a job, or you might be looking for new ways of thinking. And so today, not just in Canada, but everywhere in the world, the economy is uncertain. We cannot predict because of the COVID situation, because of the oil price change, because of different political things. There is an uncertain time in the economy. Every organization is dealing with lower budgets, shrinking budgets, okay? We also have demanding customers. People want more. Whether if you work in the government, the government is always trying to give something better. People want this. And so there is demanding customer expectation or requirements. And then also there are competing priorities. You have 100 dinar as an example, and you have 1,000 projects. So where do you allocate money? How do you allocate money? This is a very, very good tool, this value management or value methodology. It's an excellent tool for determining how can we allocate what fund in which project. So which projects are important and how can we spend that amount of money in that specific project or program. Yasser or Ayat, any comment? Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, English talk, we can't hear you.
And my
No comment.
no speed is okay. The way I'm
Yeah.
speaking is okay.
Yes, yes, it's okay.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So as an engineer, as a professional, this is an important, I think this is the one of the most important diagrams in this presentation. And maybe you have seen this before. But here, you know, it's a problem opportunity matrix. It's a very simple concept, but very, very important. This is an area of medium risk. Why? Because you have a known problem, but you have an unknown solution. You don't know what the solution is, but you know what the problem is exactly. It's a medium risk. That means you can, you know, if you think about it, it's a design time, you can find a solution for it, okay? But this is a high risk zone. Why it's high risk? You have a unknown problem, but you have a known solution. So you might think that, hey, I know a lot of solution, but you don't know what the problem is clearly. So you have to determine, so you cannot apply your solution unless you clearly know what the problem is. And the last one is the most difficult part, where you have an unknown problem and you have an unknown solution. So this is the high risk zone, because if you do not know what is the problem you're trying to solve, then it doesn't matter how good you're an engineer, you will be addressing the wrong problem. And therefore, even if you do the best project management, okay, you will be dealing as a wrong problem. That means if you spend good money, you spend time, and you do all the design, but your problem identification was wrong, then whatever project management you do, it's going to be total waste. It's useless. It's like, you know, just like a doctor, you know, if the diagnosis is not good, that what is your actual, you know, your disease or your medical problem, then he can give you all the medication, but it's not going to help you. That medication is useless. Even the time you have spent with the doctor is useless. So this is where value management or value methodology becomes very powerful, where you can actually, you have to understand this, what is the problem and what are the possible solutions. You get eventually to a requirement stage. So you understand the requirements. And then once you have defined what the problem is and you know a whole bunch of solutions, this is where innovation comes. You know, you are innovation. And I just want to share with you, and again, I don't know Arabic, but I can tell you that there is a difference between innovation and invention. Invention means something that was not there before, and you are creating something new. That is invention. Innovation is you already have a series of solutions, but you are trying to find a different way of applying that solution to a problem. That is innovation, okay? I just want to clarify that. So there is in English, the word invention and innovation, there is a difference. And sometimes maybe people might confuse that. Now what happens is, here you have the requirement. Once you know this, you move it to a situation where you have a defined problem, and you also know what is the clear solution is. And this is where project management becomes very useful. This is where now you know what the problem is, you know what the solution is, now you have to deliver it, you have to execute it. And this is where the PMI approach, once you're a project management professional, your processes, everything becomes very, very effective. But until the time you're in any one of these zones, I'm sorry to say that, you know, your project management knowledge will not help you a lot. You can work through it, but it will take a long time. And you can, as I said, if you don't have a clear understanding what the problem is, you might be trying different solutions, but it will not solve the problem. So this is why you have to define the problem very, very correctly so that you can get the best solution for it. And again, the solution is at one aspect. There is also the cost. And so this is where value management or value engineering can really focus on what you need for the problem you are dealing with, and what is the how much you're going to spend, and what is the solution. All those things become really kind of a whole picture that presents through the value management process or approach. And as I said, once you know what the problem is and what the solution is, you can apply your project management skills to deliver that project. Another area that is critical today, and a lot of people don't realize that, this is an area where you're kind of spending, your 5% time is spent in design. Okay, if you look at a whole project, approximately 5% time of the effort is spent in planning and design, yet it captures 70% of the cost. So your 5% effort is going to impact 70% of the cost. And then you have the additional 65% effort that goes into project management, but which really impacts about 25% of the cost. Okay. So here in the planning and design phase, if you apply value management, this becomes very useful to understand what is the cost impact and how you can change it. This is where project management, again, I'm trying to make a difference for you. If you think that project management can solve everything, I must say that it is not a correct assumption. Your project management effort goes here, but value management helps you to define what the problem, what the project, what's the solution you're going to pursue, and then you can apply your project management skills to deliver the most efficient way you deliver that project or program or whatever. So I have a question for you guys. I just want to know if you're understanding me and if you are, if you have any thoughts. So you can put your quick comments on the chat. Why do you think value is lost in many projects, programs, products, or whatever? Just put your thoughts on the chat. I will give you one minute to just put your thoughts on the chat, and Yasser, you can monitor that if you want. So let's take 1 minute to see what is your thought on why many projects, programs, products, services does not get the value. Just put your thoughts on the chat. Do we have any response? Yasser?
Yes, there is one misunderstanding of project goals and objectives.
What was that? Sorry?
Yes, there is 3 now. One of them, due to less of experience and uncorrected planning.
Okay.
And because it's not defined very well at the beginning. Misunderstanding of project goals and objectives.
Absolutely. Yep.
Wrong execution or not maintaining the project with no clear purpose.
Yep. No, this is all good. Yes, this is all very good. Yep. Yeah. No, that's good.
Okay.
What do you think? Do you have other responses?
Yes, there are more 3. Focusing on the profit the financial part more than the
Yes.
customer requirement.
Yes.
Monitoring and control. Maybe one of the reasons cost more than benefit.
Yep. That's right.
Yes.
So I think all of them are absolutely correct. There is no, in this question, there is no wrong answer. This is not a test. I just wanted to see how you think, that's all. And basically, you know, the answers you have given are, all of them are correct. They happen at different times in the project life cycle, or can happen. But I think one of the things somebody mentioned, you mentioned that, you know, wrong execution is obviously one factor. But as I said in the previous slide, that if you have the right problem identified, that what is the problem you're trying to solve, and you can all, you know, put your effort and strategy and execution and everything to solve the right problem. The wrong execution is definitely part of project management within the project management world. But again, right problem. But anyway, the answer that Lawrence Miles, who invented this process, so in this case, he invented this process because this was not there before. And you can see that after working for, I think, 37 or 38 years in General Electric, he identified these reasons as in his, again, from his experience, this is not my experience, his experience, he's saying these are the reasons why we don't get value in any project, product, or service. Lack of essential information. Again, what is the problem we're trying to solve? Incorrect, invalidated assumptions. So what we assumed is incorrect. Temporary decisions that become permanent. Sometimes we take short-term decisions that become permanent, and it stays, and therefore it absolutely, is somebody writing on the screen? I see a cross here. Can somebody see a cross here?
Yes, we see that, but no problem.
Okay.
That's by mistake.
No, that's fine. Don't worry. I was thinking that this cross is, you know, Yasser, this blue cross is on my template, but it's not. I think somebody may have put it there. Anyway, so lack of essential information, incorrect, invalidated assumptions, temporary decisions that become permanent. We have also honest, wrong beliefs. You know, we believe in something, but that's wrong, actually. We honestly believe it, but that is not the correct approach. We also have lack of specific idea. We need specific ideas, and that's where engineers become very effective. You can be very specific if you know what the problem is. Old habits. We all have, you know, you will see in many government organizations, even private sector organizations, you go to a senior person who has worked in that organization for 20 years or 30 years, and he will not listen to your idea because he says, or she says, hey, you know what, Yasser, I've been doing this like this for the last 25 years. I don't need your idea. And that's why we don't get the best value. And then personal attitude. So you can see that many of the reasons are human factors, okay? These are human factors. There are 2-3 things that are technical, kind of, you know, correct information, invalid assumption, that kind of stuff. But almost everything, temporary decision, honest, wrong beliefs, lack of specific idea, old habits, and personal attitude. These are all human issues. You know, I might say, you know, I've been practicing this for 12 years, and Yasser is a new engineer. I'm just using, I know Yasser, I've spoken to him a few times, so I'm just using his name. So don't worry about it. Yasser, it's not against you. I'm just using your name as an example. That, you know, Yasser says, hey, Mr. Mushtaq, I think this is the best way to do it. Maybe it was the best way, but because now my personal attitude is, oh, Yasser is a young engineer or young architect. Why do I have to listen to him? You know, what does he know? He doesn't have any experience. But idea can come from anybody if you understand what the problem is. Also, I have told you before, value methodology or value management, it is not a cost reduction exercise. It is not something you do after the detailed design. I mean, you can do it, but that's really, then it's really about cost reduction. It's not really, you're just trying to, you have $100, 100 dinars as an example for your project. Your project now seems going to be 130 dinar. Now you're trying to cut costs to bring it within budget. That's not how you use it. It is not always the responsibility of a consultant, okay? The consultant, yes, the consultant, if you're working in a consulting firm, you do your best, but it is a team effort. You want to bring everybody together in a multidisciplinary team, not, you can have a structural engineer, a mechanical, electrical, an architect, maybe some city official like from Amman governorate, whoever, bring them together and you do this at the same time, not one after another. It's a desk review. It's not a desk review of documents and drawings, okay? It is not something that a project manager should be reviewing on his desk and do a value management or value engineering. No, it's not, it doesn't happen that way. And it is not also a typical cost benefit analysis. Typical cost benefit is once you have, you have multiple options. Let's say you have identified a problem, you have identified 3-4 solutions to solve it. Then you do a cost benefit analysis that, okay, which one, what's the benefit if I do this? What's the cost? That kind of stuff. But to come to that option, I think value management can really help you. So in addition to the previous slides, the value management offers multiple benefits. It does an accurate assessment of scope. So every project manager is always interested in what is the scope. So it does a very good assessment of what is the scope of this project or program. It reduces overall risks and schedule. I have done about 34 value management studies. Some people have done more, but I've done about 34. And every time the project manager or the project sponsor said, hey, what we have achieved in this 1 week, it could have taken us between 9 to 12 months if we were just working through a consultant. So I work at the city. I deal with a lot of city project managers who are either in the waste industry, wastewater, or in the building industry and whatnot. And they said, hey, Mushtaq, what we accomplished in this 1 week, because it's usually a 5-day workshop, we have solved the problem with a better solution, more cost effective. And not only that, we have been able to probably save like 9 months or 12 months worth of work. So even though it's not a schedule about the delivery, but if you think about the project life cycle, if you can save 9 to 12 months from your project, which is taken usually for design development, that also adds to your schedule and it saves you money. It also remedies any planning and design deficiencies and omissions. So if you're doing it at a concept level or schematic design level, or if you're doing it at 30% detailed design, you can definitely solve many of the design gaps or omissions that may have been there. As I mentioned earlier, it is also an assurance for top management, okay? It's an assurance for top management that you have done everything possible to make sure that your solution is going to help them. It also establishes in the government sector, if you're in the public service, whether you work for a ministry or you work for a city, it is an organizational reputation that the city or the ministry is doing the best possible project with the money we have. It also brings alignment among the different customers, stakeholders, project teams, because now everybody understands what is the scope, how much we are going to spend, and you just go and deliver it. And finally, it confirms value for money option. It assures that you are getting value for money. So whatever money you're spending in this project, you're getting the best solution. Any questions? Yes, sir. Anything on the chat?
No, there's no question until now.
Okay. Okay, so the best time to apply value management is I want to just explain very quickly this diagram. You can see that, here, if you start at the planning level, you can save significant amount of money. So this is in dollars. If you do it at strategic planning level, you can potentially, save about $130. As you go down and get closer into the construction phase, applying value engineering or value management cannot save you that much money, and also maybe you're going into the wrong direction, we don't know. Okay, so the earlier you use it, the better. So if you are using it at, master planning level or design level, you get a lot better return for the money you're going to spend in value management. I can tell you right now that in a 5-day exercise in Canada, we spend about 120,000 Canadian dollars. I think that would be like 100,000 dinar, maybe. I'm not sure. But if you approximately 80 to 100,000 dinar, you're going to spend for a 1-week workshop. But you can save a lot of money if you do it at the right time. What is this method? It is it is this methodology. It's an 8-step. It's called job plan. There is a preparation phase or pre-VM where you want to collect data. So data is very important. We have to have enough information that we can analyze, that establishes the baseline. We have to have sufficient operations data, design information, how should I say, cost breakdown and whatnot. All those things, that kind of data. Value management can also be used for determining cost of a project. That's also there. But if you're doing if you're doing at a concept level, let's say you have a concept and you want to apply value management, you want to know how they came to this concept. Okay, data means not always numbers. It can be background information that is helpful to understand how this concept was developed. So then we have the typical 1-week workshop or 5 days where we go through this 6 steps: information phase, function analysis phase, creative phase, evaluation phase, development phase, and presentation phase. Okay, these are the 6 steps that is done in a 5-day workshop. For the preparation, it could take, if you have good data available, you can package it in 3 to 4 days, like a week. And then the implementation or post-VM, where as a VM consultant, I will prepare a report with recommendation. Or if you're certified, you can do that as well. It takes about, about a week or 2 weeks to prepare a good report. A minimum 2 weeks, actually. Because you have to verify all the cost information, the technical details and whatnot. So altogether, a value management study for a project can take approximately 1 month. But from the beginning, the preparation phase, implementation, 1 month, if you put that 1 month in your project schedule, okay, then it's not a big deal. You can actually, some of you are probably working for consulting firms or government. If you put that 1 month, say 4 weeks to 6 weeks in your project schedule, then you can easily do value management as part of your exercise, as part of your project management process. And I've been doing this for 12 years. I have seen at the city where I work, everybody says, oh, you know what? It was not in my plan. Or I don't have the budget for it because I have only budget to spend on the consultant. Now, this is an extra cost for me. But this is the part where people don't understand that if you plan for it, if you allocate budget for it, as I said, it could be 80 to 100,000 dinar, approximately, I don't know. You know, in Canada, we spend about $120,000, $130,000 for a 1 week workshop, but it does give us a lot of benefits, and I will share some information data with you. So very quickly, I want to do an attention check, and I want to ask you these questions, and you can put it on the chat if you want. What is the basic function of this? What is the basic function of the paint here? You can put it on the chat if you want. I will take, you know, I just want to make sure that you are listening to me correctly and you're not getting the wrong information. So I talked about function, and you know, what is the function of the paint here? Just put it on the chat. You don't. We can address this later. If somebody is saying it looks nice, yes, that is a function or whatever. But the basic function is to protect the surface. That is the basic function. If it looks good, fantastic. But the basic function is to protect the surface. If you say the man is painting, that is an activity. How you paint is an activity, but the job of the function of the paint is to protect surface. Another example, there is an aircraft that is painted. You know, usually they put a lot of paint to paint an aircraft. And what is the basic function there of the paint? So same thing. Again, I'm trying to show you that the application of paint, which is a product, onto another product, which is a fence or an aircraft, the function can be different. What does it do? That question. That question is, what does it do? So in the fence, it protects surface, but in the aircraft, it is purely for branding identity. It is nothing to do with aerodynamic style or aerodynamic fuel efficiency, nothing like that. Because if you want to achieve fuel efficiency, your aircraft must be very light, but they put 1,100 kilograms of paint on an aircraft purely for marketing. That this is from Emirates, you have Alia, the Royal Jordanian Airlines, you have, I don't know, Egypt Air or Saudi or whatever, is all about branding. The microwave, you use it every day. It's about heat food. That's the basic function. A bridge, you know, somebody might say cross river or cross whatever, but it's really about spanning distance. So once you say that span distance is the function, you can think about other ways of spanning distance if you know what the distance is. Okay, so what I'm saying is that function analysis helps you to become more creative. This is the public library in Calgary. You know, it's a $260 million project. It took like 2 years to build. But the basic function of a library is to share knowledge. Now, if you think about sharing knowledge, you can think about many ways of sharing knowledge. So the function analysis in the value management is done to identify alternative ways of achieving that same function. Now, somebody might ask, in Canada that why the city had to spend $260 million just to share knowledge. Well, now here the city mayor thinks otherwise. He thinks this is a urban design. We are trying to bring everybody together as a community. It's a place for citizens. It's an icon. It is a landmark in the city. So a lot of those other functions, which are not a basic function, are also achieved through this library. That's why they wanted to do this, because otherwise city could have given everybody free access to internet so that they can share knowledge or they can learn everything from the internet. Any questions, my friends? If you have any questions, feel free to put it on the chat and we can address that later.
Mr. Mushtaq, can you remove that X on that appearing on the screen?
I didn't do it. I didn't put it there.
Okay, so you can't remove it, right?
No, I cannot do this. I cannot change it.
Okay.
Let me see something. See, this is, no, this X is not from me.
Okay.
Let me see. Full screen mode. Okay. So that X is gone.
It removed. It removed, no problem. You can continue.
Okay. All right. Okay, so other examples, you know, dispense tape, a lighter, ignite fluid is the basic function. The basic function that everybody uses it every day, it's to attach paper. So just I'm saying that by using the function verb noun, you can think about other ways of doing it. Hammer, everybody knows it's a hammer. How do you use hammer? Let's take a test. Again, 1 minute. You can put it on the chat. What is the basic function of a hammer? Yasser, you can please monitor. What are some of the people? Ladies and gentlemen, you can put your thoughts on the chat. What is the basic function of a hammer?
Is hit pin.
Hit pin. Okay, good. What else?
Connect parts, maybe.
Connect?
Connect parts or materials.
Yep, that's right.
And break solid anything.
What about breaking head? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, no, that's all good. These are connect parts is actually a function, but it's not the basic function. The basic function of a hammer, so drive nail, or as you said, somebody said hit nail, it's an activity. It is an activity or a task because you're using the hammer. That's how you as a person is using it, okay? But if you say deliver force, because from the hand, the hammer is delivering force on something and eventually it connects parts. That is correct. So connecting parts is probably a higher order function, but the basic function is to deliver force. And I use the word because when you say deliver force, you can think about other ways of delivering force. I'm not saying whether they are cost effective or not, that's a different question. But you can find other ways of delivering force. So generally, from a value management study, these are the 4 outcomes, or a combination of these can happen. You can get a cost reduction approach where you get the same function or performance at a lower cost, or you can get more performance, more functions at the same cost. You can also get, often we see this is happening actually, to be honest, this happens a lot, where you get more performance at a lower cost. This is the best. If not, then this is the best, that you can get the same more function at the same cost. But this is often we see happens. Another approach is where you get more performance, more functions by spending a little bit more, okay? By spending a little bit more money, you can get a lot more functions. And I remember in one project, we had to spend like 1.5% of the total project cost extra to get some additional benefits. So that is also adding value. Now, Yes, sir, I have a question. I have spoken for about 1 hour. Do you want to take a 5-minute break, or are you guys okay to continue? I totally leave it up to you. I'm okay. I can talk all day. What do you think, Yasser? Any thoughts if people want to take a break or 5 minutes break, or you want to continue?
Okay, if anyone needs a break, you can type one in the chat board.
If you want to take a break, let's take a 5-minute break and we come back at in about 5 minutes. Is that okay? Or people want to continue? I'm okay with either one. Doesn't matter.
Yes,
to me.
yes, it's okay with the 5-minute break.
Okay, let's take a 5-minute break and then we meet again. Okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Mushtaq.
No problem. Okay, thank you for coming back. I hope it was a decent break, and we'll deal with some of the questions soon. So moving forward, this is the results. These are the results of the studies we have done at the city of Calgary. The return you can see for every dollar, we got a return of 180. And we have seen anywhere between 7% to 81% cost avoidance or deferral. Average in every project, we have saved about 16%, and average cost per VM study is 0.25%. So, this is just the data I have captured between 2009 and 2020. I mean, we might do another 1 or 2 studies, but these are what we have seen over the last 11, 12 years. So I'm going to share a quick case study. This is an example of an integrated civic facility. It's a vertical built, it's quite a large project. One thing I want to share with you, I think I gave you a wrong number. The 130,000 Canadian dollar, which we spent about for a 1-week value study, is typically between 65 to 70,000 dinar, not 100,000. So you're looking at 65,000, between 65,000 to 70,000 dinar for a 1-week value management study. I think I mentioned earlier 100,000, so that is the correction. So in this project, this is a city project. What was the issue? We had multiple stakeholders. Nobody knew what's the scope, unclear scope, lack of governance, roles and responsibilities. There is also budgetary limitations. People wanted a lot of things, but they had limited budget, and already the schedule was delayed. Like, they were doing project chartering and everything, and still they were like, I think something like 12 to 15 months over their schedule, and they were not anywhere close. So again, just to clarify, the stakeholders were Calgary Public Library, arts and culture, affordable housing, there's going to be a future transit hub. The needs versus wants, they were not clear. There is also different business groups, or business means, different departments are involved. So there is that they call territoriality. I'm spending more, so, I have the more say. But at the end of the day, it's a city project. It's nobody's personal project. Also, the design, we did it at a schematic design. It showed 53 million dinar. I think 53 million would be approximately is about 30 million dinar. Okay, sorry, $53 million is approximately 30 million dinar project. But they had only $35 million, which is way less. Okay, so we did a 40-hour virtual workshop. This was my first virtual workshop. We spent about 5 days on this. There were 22 participants with leading expertise. There were architects, mechanical engineers, structural engineers. There were building envelope. Building envelope is a specialized category here. So we had that building envelope guy who looks into energy efficiency and stuff like that. And there was as I mentioned, it's an integrated civic facility. There are 4 departments working together. So there was a focus on integration, true integration, both spatial and operational. And the question was, what really adds value? It's not about, I want this, I want that. You can want a BMW, but your money is only good for a Toyota Corolla. So you have to decide. And then life cycle thinking. So we did, I think you can see this, but you don't have to read it. I just want to share with you that this is the function analysis of this facility. This is the function diagram looks like. So don't worry about it. You don't have to read it. Just I'm trying to give you a flavor how what it could look like. We developed in that value management study, we developed 300 new ideas. Out of that, about 10% were developed as business cases or a recommendation. The value management team focused on site development, spatial programs, systems, and project delivery model. Those are the areas this team thought that there were biggest benefits for the project. It's again, this is the thing from in the value management process, it takes away that thing that, hey, I'm the project manager, I'm going to do this. No. What is the best for the product, which is the building? The study clarified real need and scope. It also identified approximately between 35% to 45% cost avoidance or deferral. And so therefore, it brought the project within budget. It was not intentionally that we wanted to cut cost, but there were so many interesting, innovative ideas that eventually, when we compiled them, it showed that it can actually be done within like $32 million. Stakeholders decided and aligned on options. Okay, so all the options, all the scope was very well clear now with the different business units, the customers or the operators of this facility. Again, I'm showing you only an example. You don't have to read this, but you can see in site development at the very top, there were 3 ideas that can potentially save about $14.5 million. In the building program and special area built form, it could also potentially save about $13.8 million. There was energy efficiency, both in immediate and life cycle. It's about $1.7 million. Structural system also identified about $3 million savings. Procurement, how the project will be delivered, also identified approximately $6 million in savings. Here is another thing I want to share with you, and maybe you don't see the screen properly, but there is the capital cost. There is the operational cost wherever we had data. Some areas we didn't have data, so we couldn't identify an operations and maintenance cost. And this is your life cycle. So you can see, you can right away see what is the capital cost. Anything in red is a cost addition. Anything in black is a cost savings. Any questions? Sorry, Yasser, somebody was trying to say something.
No, there is no.
Okay. So you can see the capital cost, O&M cost, and again, life cycle cost. Again, as I mentioned very quickly, anything in black is a savings. Anything in red is a cost addition. Even after cost addition, savings, everything together, you can still see there is a potential $13.88 million savings here only in the built form. So why value management works? Value management works because traditional approach, you have the project manager dealing with different disciplines. Maybe the project manager, whether you work for a city or in a consulting firm, you're dealing with a discipline 1, discipline 5, structural, architectural, mechanical, whatnot, geotechnical. But in the value management process, we bring everybody together and we try to focus on the function. What is the function we are trying to accomplish? And if we can identify the function that this project must do, then everybody can, instead of becoming a discipline, they can see, okay, how my discipline can achieve that function, because Yasser, again, is a mechanical engineer. Many of you are mechanical, electrical engineers. Instead of thinking that, oh, this is the best mechanical solution or this is the best electrical solution, you now start thinking that, hey, what is the function this must do? And how I can, think about innovative, creative ways to achieve that function. So that is where kind of the part of the savings comes from in our project. Another thing is creativity. I want to share this with you. You may like this, you may not like this. I think all of you are very young, so you are very good at the age of creativity. So be creative. So this is a research that was done by a professor at the University of California in about 10 years ago. And he said that these professions, scholars, scientists, artists, they retain the highest creativity between the age of 20 to the age of 70. And then other professionals, this is the actual research they identified that other professionals, they, this is the prediction. This was the prediction that, they probably start like from age 5 until the age of 50, the blue curve. But when we did the actual research, they found that actually people are very creative between the age of 15 till the age of about 35 or 40, and then it goes down. So in the value management process, we always bring in experienced people, and through function analysis, we try to make them more creative. Another idea is the convergent divergent thinking. The traditional approach is where we have a problem, we identify a problem without validating. We think this is the problem, and these are some of the options, and then we recommend a solution. I have seen this many times. Whereas in the VM approach or value management approach, as I said, we need a lot of data. So information gathering, then we do a function analysis. So this is the convergent approach. From a very wide area of data, we are trying to become convergent. Then in the creative phase, we become divergent. Again, we become convergent, we become divergent. So in a 1 week period, is 18, 20 people, 15 people, whatever, they all are thinking, in different cycles. And that makes it very interesting, very innovative, and really people come up with idea that, maybe they thought about it, maybe not. We don't know. So finally, the value management process benefits all levels. As I said, this was one of my earlier slides, that it can help the projects, definitely. It can also programs, some, in the government, they have a program for transportation improvement. And they have identified, let's say, number of areas in Jordan for improvement. So you can look at it as a programmatic level and identify which projects are your top projects and where we should allocate the money. Same thing with the government level or even organizational level. You look at your total number of programs, projects, which is your portfolio, you can prioritize that applying value management. Another quick thing for you, who and where value management used. You might be thinking who uses it. So all engineering professionals use it, architects, top management of companies, even government ministries, okay, they all use this. It is also used in consulting industry, strategic planning, transportation, water, wastewater, vertical built, systems and information technology, mining, oil and gas, power, manufacturing, tourism industry, existing operations and maintenance in the construction, contractors use it. If you have an existing project, you can apply it to improve it. I was in a conference last year in the US, the Society of American Value Engineers conference, and there was this Japanese person who said that they even use it for managing the supply process of a restaurant. Okay, in Japan, they use it for managing the supply management or supply processes of a restaurant. They have used it, value management. City of New York, they have used it for, even creating RFPs. Okay, so every industry, and my point to you is that get the VM skill, stand separate, stand distinct. You know, everybody is a mechanical engineer, everybody is electrical engineer, but you have to have something plus. Today, you have your basic degree, you have your basic professional degree, which is great. You have done it, and congratulations. But you have to have something else to move forward in your career. I think this, and by the way, unfortunately, this is the sort of not so great news, is that, for example, you write the PMP exam, you have a PMP, you put on your name, and then you get probably hired faster. Maybe, I don't know. But value management, you have to be really passionate about it. You have to be into it, and you don't become a value management expert by writing an exam only. You have to practice it. And I can say, if you practice it for a good 3 to 5 years from your starting certification to the next level, you will make a difference. So say a little bit about the certification process. I'm going to open up for questions in about 10 minutes. I have 10 more minutes left, and then I will open up any questions you can ask, no problem. Value methodology is a certification done from Society of American Value Engineers. This is their website. The certification process is that you take the VMF1, which is Value Methodology Fundamentals. Value Methodology Fundamentals 1. It's a 32-hour course. You take that, then you register for an online exam. Okay, it's called VMA. So once it's a 1.5-hour exam, it costs US $185, and you become a VMA. So once you pass that exam, you become Value Methodology Associate. Then once you have that VMA, I think Yasser is one of the few VMAs in Jordan. Then you have to participate in 6 to 8 value studies, or at least minimum is 240 hours. Once you participate in 240 hours of exam, then now you can qualify for the Value Methodology Fundamentals 2 course. So you can take that course. You have already completed your 240 hours of value studies, experiencing value studies. Then you can sit for your Cvs exam, which is Certified Value Specialist. This is the top tier certification in value methodology or value management. It's a 3-hour exam. It costs $360 for members of SAVE. If you're not a member of SAVE, it's going to be 3 times more, like $1,000 or something. Okay, so this is really the 2 levels of certification: Value Methodology Associate, Certified Value Specialist. When I did it, there were 3 tiers of certification. It was called Associate Value Specialist. Then there was this Value Methodology Professional, VMP, and then CVS, Certified Value Specialist. So now what they have done is they have taken out, Society of SAVE has what they have done. They have taken out the VMP and they split it into VMA and CVS. So now each VMF1, or Value Methodology Fundamentals 1 course, is 32 hours, and Value Methodology Fundamentals 2 is also 32 hours. Okay, so that's in a way, the certification process. Typically, it's a 32 hours course. You get a certificate of completion, and then you become eligible for the VMA exam. So let's say you take training from me or whoever, you become eligible for VMA exam. And then you have to pay a separate fee for online exam. It's a multiple choice questions, I believe. Yasser, is that correct?
Sorry?
Is it it's a multiple choice question, right? Exam?
Yes, 60 questions. 60 multiple questions.
Right. So that is the process, that you have to take that 32-hour course. You get a certificate of completion, and with that, you apply separately. You do an online exam for become a VMA. typically, the value methodology fundamentals 1, and I'm going to slowly cover this. The training agenda, it's 32 hours. So we don't want to do it in 4 days. We want to do it in 8 days. You spend about 4.5 hours with a break. It talks about value, history of value methodology. This is the value methodology pre-workshop stage. How about transforming information? It talks about the job plan, which I described with you earlier. You talk about information phase. Day 3 and 4 is totally focused on function analysis, okay? You select certain examples and you do function analysis. Day 5 and 6 is focused on creative phase, evaluation phase, and partially development phase and life cycle costing. And then finally, the last 2 days, it's focused on development, evaluation, and post-workshop stages. So there is also, about an hour allocated for questions and answers. But this is only, this presentation, by the way, just to let you know, this presentation I will send to Ali, Khalifa, Ayat, and Yasser. They can share this presentation with you. So it's not like there is no secret here. You can get it, no problem. And you can decide. These are the books that are recommended for the value methodology. If you want to really pursue the become a certified value specialist, this pocket book, it's value methodology memory jogger. There's the function analysis guide, and like the PMBOK, people who are pursuing a PMP exam, maybe they are looking at PMBOK. So there's this VM guide. That's kind of, it's good to have it. You can read it, but when you, when we are in a session like this, when we are discussing things from the function analysis guide or VM guide, then it becomes very useful because these are applied knowledge. These are not like a novel where you read and you enjoy it as a novel. No, it's not. It's a very dry book in some ways, but it's for you to become a certified value specialist. These 3 can be very, very helpful. I think that's it. So I can take any questions you may have. I have put I work for the city of Calgary. Here's my email, my phone number. With Ali Khalifa, Ayat, Hijawi, and Yasser, there is collectively for young professionals, we have created a WhatsApp VE group. Anytime you can email, you're most welcome to join this group. It's a free forum, knowledge sharing, and also if you have any questions, you can email me, or via WhatsApp you can contact me. Yasser is also there. He's a value methodology associate, so he has by the way, congratulations Yasser, you've done a great job. I think it's not a small thing. And that's it. So I can take any questions you may have. Any questions in the chat? Yasser, if you want to share, I can obviously try to answer. I'll do my best to respond to it.
Okay, if anyone has a question, then he can type it in the chat board, or he can ask directly.
Yeah, you can raise your hand and ask the question.
Actually, I have a question, Mr. Mushtaq. You
Yes.
was talking about that value management. Can we use it in RFP? Is it a request for proposal, RFP?
Sorry, what was the question again?
You told that value management, we can use it in RFP. In
Yes.
America,
Yes.
you use it in RFP, that request for proposal, right?
Yes, yes.
And what was the benefits and the results of this?
Okay, so it is not
Study.
my personal experience. No, sure, I can respond to this. It is not my personal experience, but what is RFPs, and I don't know, I'm sure it's the same in Jordan, is that in RFP, there is an area where the owner's requirements are put in, okay? Let's say you're doing an RFP, I don't know, let's say for a wastewater treatment plant, and you want to put your requirements in the RFP so that the consultants can respond to that, looking at those requirements. So it is for that requirement gathering it was used. Okay, so the RFP was the requirements gathering for that specific, project or program. I don't know what it is, but the requirements gathering area was the area is where the where it was used. So I see a question. What's the case study in oil and gas sector in refinery for VM? So I see that question. So thank you, Yaqub Ahmed Bani Taha, and in Calgary that it has been used many times. I have not directly worked on a refinery project for value management, but in most of the value management studies, I have done wastewater treatment. So it's a process, chemical processes, mechanical processes are involved, and so we bring in the expertise. I'm not a wastewater treatment expert, but I have enough knowledge to talk about it. So same thing with refinery. If you want to improve or develop a new refinery, you bring in the right experts, and then you go through that exercise to identify what's the function, and then you come up with creative ideas to bring together the requirements for that project. Or if I don't know if it's an existing refinery or a new refinery, I don't know that. Any questions? Any from anybody? Oh, by the way, I don't know, Ayat, are you gonna get some feedback form to the participants, or Yasser?
Okay, we will ask them for the feedback.
Yeah, if they have any, it's good to know if you
we
want to
have a report. Yeah, we have evaluations in the final. Yeah, I will send you the results, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you very much. So I'm more than happy to ask any questions. I think Yasser has put a BMF1 training 3-page information for you to think about it. I think I was talking to Yasser that if there are 12 to 16 people or 20 people is maximum, but if it's like 12 people, then it is worth doing a training. If it's like 5 people, I can still do it, but it's a lot of work. So if it's like 12 people or more, but no more than 20, then it is much more feasible to conduct the value methodology fundamentals training. That's just an FYI for your information only. Anybody has any questions, or I'm more than happy to, if you want to give me some feedback right now, I'm more than happy. If I was too fast, too slow, not loud, less loud. Like Ayat the other day, thank you for saying that, because you said that I was not speaking very loud or clearly. So that's good. I mean, I hope it was helpful today. I tried to manage that. Anybody? I don't have. Sorry, if you're putting chat in, my friend, if you're putting chat in Arabic, honestly, I don't read Arabic, but maybe. Oh, what is the difference between invention and innovation? Yes, I can say that. Asem Kasim. Asem, the difference is innovation is you have already some solution. You can maybe combine the solutions and apply it in a new way, is innovation. Or you can apply a solution in a new problem, that's an innovation. But invention is something that was not there before. You know, something like, let's say, you know, as an example, Apple iPhone does, you know, you can talk, you can text, you can do lots of stuff. So before iPhone, there was not like a smart, there were other smartphones. Actually, you know what, to be honest, before iPhone, there was a company in Canada called BlackBerry. I don't know if you have seen it. Maybe you were too young then. So BlackBerry used to do that. BlackBerry was one of the first things that was a smartphone where you can do your email, you can talk, you can text, and everything. You can browse internet. That was really one of the beginning of smartphone. Then I think 10 years ago, BlackBerry became bankrupt, and so now it's Samsung and iPhone. They are in the market. But the first smartphone was developed by BlackBerry. It's a company based out of Ontario. You know, it's about 2 hours. It's a place called Waterloo. It's 2 hours from Toronto. So the difference again, hopefully, Asim Kasim, that was reasonable response. Any other questions? Anybody have any? You know, feel free, think about it. You can put it on the chat. You can ask by raising your hand and opening up the microphone. Yasser, what do you think? Oh, Sarah Ibrahim Al-Jariri has a question, I guess. Raised her hand.
Sarah, you can ask, but unmute the headphone or microphone.
So Yasser, I'm here. You know, what do you think? Should we close the session, or it's all good? People have no. Yeah, I want to thank. Okay, thank you, Sarah. Thank you for joining. And yeah, I mean, it was great to have you. Like, I think there were like 30 participants, which is fantastic.
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Mushtaq, for this presentation. And by name of Mechanical Engineering Committee, we thank you again for your presentation and giving us some of your time.
No, it was a pleasure. And so what I'm going to do is, Yasser, you know, in the Jordan VE group, I will upload the presentation in PDF so that everybody can access that. And if you want to distribute that, that's okay too.
Okay.
So somebody has asked, okay, so somebody has asked that question. Very good. So Ahmed Wali Abdullah has asked the question that there were savings in the beginning of the VM study. Are these actual or theoretical? Okay, so in a concept design or even at 30% detailed design, that's why I use if you notice that I use the word cost avoidance or deferral. So, you know, in the US, they use the word savings. Savings is when you're spending money, and let's say you're in a project, you're executing a project, and you know, you're supposed to spend $100 or 100 dinar, but you spend actually 90 dinars. So that's a savings. In value management, what we are doing is we are trying to identify money that you don't have to spend. So it's not a direct savings that, you know, let's say, I'm just making it up again as an example. Let's say your salary per month is 5,000 dinar. You spend 4,000 dinar and you save 1,000 dinar. It is not a savings like that. It is things that you don't need to do in that project, okay? You can achieve all the functions of the project with, instead of spending 100 dinar, you can get it done for 80 dinar. So again, as I said, it's a cost avoidance. It is not a direct savings. It is actually demonstrating that 20 dinar, you don't really have to spend. Now, in reality, what has happened, I have followed up with a couple of project managers or their sponsors. There was, at least I remember, two, of course. There was a storm trunk that was stated to be $55 million project cost. And when we did the value study, it came down to 7 million. But when they actually implemented the project, they spent about, I think, 17 million or 16 million, something like this. So from $55 million, we identified 7 million in the value study with a solution. But when they actually executed the project after 2 years, they spent about double that amount. So there was still actual savings. It's not the same amount, but there was still significant. You know, if they spent 17 million versus 55 million, there is still a large savings. But again, it's not in the value study at the 30% design, you know, it identifies that cost avoidance. So that's sort of in a long way to your answer to your question. Ahmed Al-Ramahi. Ahmed Al-Ramahi mentioned, can we have other sessions in the future? Absolutely. If there is an interest in the Jordan V group, I am interested in value management. I do this as my job. If it's on a Saturday or a Sunday, no problem for me. I can do that. If there is another request from, let's say this is a mechanical electrical group. Yes, Asem Kasim, how can benefit, please, in briefly. So again, it's about requirements gathering. Whatever procurement you're doing, you have to identify the requirements. Actually, sometimes people think we need this, but actually they may not need it. So it's about the requirements gathering of that, whatever procurement you're doing for whatever department. You need to identify that and choose the best option. Is it like ISO standards? No, it is not like ISO standard. No. ISO standard is about documentation. ISO standard is about a process. This is how you document things. This is how you have, these are the things you have to capture. It's a thing that you do by yourself or maybe by the organization. They have ISO standards. Value management is identified in ISO standards, but it's something that has to be, this is real life. This is not somebody, as I mentioned, not somebody doing some paperwork at their desk. No, it's not like that. Any other thoughts, questions from anybody? We have 10 minutes. Abdullah Sulaiman, any comments?
No, just I say thank you, and it's new knowledge for us, and we need more knowledge about this. And say thank you a lot.
No, thank you so much. I mean, thank you for participating. Again, Yasser, Ayat and Ali, if they are here, feel free to, Ayat is here. So if you want to have another session with, with some more specific questions, I'm more than happy to do this webinar. No problem for me. Okay. If you can let me know ahead of time that, on a Saturday at 6 p.m. we want to do this. No problem.
We will arrange soon, inshallah.
Inshallah.
With you and Yasser and Engineer Ali, inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes, in one session, people don't always get everything. But if you have questions and, if you can send it to the Jordan VE group, I can respond to it. Or if you put down in a paper that, hey, these are the 10, 15 questions, whatever, then what I will do is I will write it up for you. I will prepare the response in writing. I will send it to Ayat, Yasser, and Ali or the Jordan VE group. And then in a webinar, we can discuss those. Is that fair?
Yes, sure. That... Yeah. Exactly.
Any other questions from anybody? How is the weather, by the way, in Amman? Are all of you in Amman or in different parts of Jordan?
Me from Amman. Very hot.
Okay, very hot. What's the temperature today?
Oh, I think 42 or 43.
Ooh, okay. Right now it's here, actually it's like 18, only 18 degrees.
Oh, nice.
It was in the morning, it was a little bit, you know, kind of light wind and so I have a general question, and you can put the, I don't know, what should I say? Put 5 or something on the chat. How many of you have heard about Calgary before today? Of the 20 people who are still here, how many of you have heard about Calgary before today? Nobody has heard about.
Again, your question, no problem.
How many people in this session today have heard about Calgary, the city of Calgary in Canada before today? Not everybody. Okay, so I think that's it for today. Yasser, Ayat, do you have any other comments, questions, or thoughts? And then maybe otherwise we can give back 7 minutes, 8 minutes of your time today.
Actually, no, all things are clear. And if anyone has a question, we will send it to you, or he can send the question as you mentioned on the Jordan BE group, inshallah. And thank you
okay.
again, Mr. Mushtaq.
No, thank you so much for organizing this. I really appreciate Ayat, Yasser, and Ali for your effort. And this is, you know what, I think I just mentioned one thing that, you know, just about 3 weeks ago, I think 3 weeks maybe, Yasser contacted me via LinkedIn. And you know, just he mentioned that, hey, I'm becoming a VMA. I'm just interested in something like that. So we spoke like you know, within a day or 2 or 3, and then here we are today. In 3 weeks' time, I'm doing a presentation. So Yasser, I want to thank you personally for your effort. You are the driver.
You're welcome.
Driver means you're the driver of this initiative, not a car driver.
Actually, thank you for your time. For giving us your time.
Okay, all right. Have a good evening, and hopefully we will meet again.
Inshallah. Good evening.
Inshallah. Thank you so much. Okay, take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.